My name is Claire Whitmore. I'm 39 years old, and until 2 weeks ago, I thought I was in a relationship that, while imperfect, was moving forward. Not fast, not recklessly, but steadily. I'd been with Ethan Parker for 2 years. We didn't live together, but if you looked at how we functioned, you'd assume we were building towards something serious. I paid for most of our dinners. I drove to pick him up for every event, every birthday, every awkward friend gathering. I helped when his work dried up. I folded my life around his needs without ever being asked, because that's what you do when you believe you're investing in a shared future. I didn't think that was overwhelming. I thought it was love. The night everything shifted was a Thursday. We were out to dinner with his friends, 5 of them squeezed into a long table at a trendy downtown place where cocktails had names longer than the menu descriptions. I ordered a drink I wouldn't normally get. $18. I remember thinking that detail mattered even before I knew why. Someone asked the question people always ask when a couple's been together long enough, so, when's the wedding? I smiled instinctively. Not a big smile, just a quiet one. The kind you give when you don't want to jinx anything. Ethan didn't smile. He laughed. Not nervous, not awkward, mocking. God, why does everyone keep asking that? He said, shaking his head. We're just dating. Claire really needs to stop acting like we're married. It's honestly overwhelming sometimes. The table went silent. No one reached for their drink. No one laughed it off. One of his friends looked down at her plate like it had personally offended her. I felt the heat rise to my face, but I didn't react. I took a slow sip of my drink, the one I was paying for, and I smiled. You're absolutely right, I said. Ethan blinked. What? You're right, I repeated calmly. We're just dating. I think I've been overcomplicating things. Relief washed over his face. He reached for my arm, grinning like a man who thought he just won something. See, he said to the table. That wasn't so hard. The bill arrived. $340. Normally I would have reached for it without thinking. I always did. It had become muscle memory, proof of care disguised as convenience. Instead, I pulled out my phone. So, I said lightly, tapping the calculator. That's $68 each, right? Silence. One of his friends cleared her throat. Don't you usually— I did, I said, when I thought we were serious. I glanced at Ethan, still calm, still polite. But since we're just dating, this feels more appropriate. His face flushed. Claire, don't be weird. I'm not, I said. I'm respecting your boundaries. He paid. So did everyone else. The drive home was quiet. The next morning, he texted asking what time I'd pick him up for his cousin's wedding that weekend. I replied, I'm not. I already declined the invite. He called immediately. What do you mean you declined? That was when I thought we were serious, I said evenly. A 3-hour round trip for a family wedding feels very husband-like. He hung up. That was the moment I understood something I'd been avoiding for 2 years. Love doesn't vanish all at once. Sometimes it just stops being mutual. If you've never watched someone panic in real time, try taking away the things they quietly assumed were permanent. Friday turned into Monday without another word between us. By then, Ethan had decided my silence was a phase, something I'd snap out of once I cooled down. He texted like nothing had changed. A meme. Are you up? At midnight. A casual, my car is acting weird. Can you grab me in the morning? I didn't reply. At 7:18 a.m., he called. Claire, I'm running late. Where are you? I'm already at work, I said. What? You always— I used to, I corrected gently, when I thought we were building something. There was a pause. Then irritation crept in. You're really doing this? Doing what? Punishing me? I leaned back in my chair, staring at the spreadsheet I'd been meaning to clean up for months. I hadn't opened it in a while because it made things uncomfortable. Numbers always do when they tell the truth. I'm not punishing you, I said. I'm matching you. That night I cooked dinner for one. Chicken, rice, no extra portions out of habit. It felt strange, like learning a new posture after years of slouching. At 9:40 p.m., my phone buzzed again. What are you doing? Making dinner for yourself? Yes. Another pause. Then, this is dramatic. I smiled at that. The irony was almost elegant. Saturday morning, I updated my dating profile. Not out of spite, out of alignment. I changed one line, looking for something serious. It felt honest in a way I hadn't allowed myself before. That evening, Ethan showed up at my door unannounced. He still had the spare key. I heard it turn in the lock while I was plating food. My stomach tightened. Not fear, just disappointment that I'd forgotten to ask for it back. "We need to talk," he said, stepping inside like he still belonged there. I didn't rush. I finished plating one plate. He noticed. "What's this?" he asked. "Are you seriously cooking for one now?" "Yes. This isn't what I meant," he said, running a hand through his hair. "I just didn't want pressure. Everyone asking about marriage, kids. It freaked me out." "I get that," I said. "Pressure can be scary. So why are you acting like this?" I turned to him then, calm, centered. "Because you were clear. We're just dating. And I realized I was acting like your wife without being treated like one." He scoffed. "So what? Now you're cutting me off financially?" I blinked. "Cutting you off implies obligation. There isn't one." He noticed my phone light up on the counter. A dating app notification. His eyes narrowed. "Are you kidding me? What? You're already looking for someone else?" "We're just dating," I reminded him. "You never said we were exclusive." "That's insane," he snapped. "We've been together 2 years." "No," I said quietly. "We've been dating 2 years. Big difference." "Your words." He stared at me like I'd slapped him. "You're being cruel," he said. "I'm being consistent." He stormed out. 3 days later, the call started from other people. His mother left a voicemail calling me manipulative, said I'd used money to control her son, that I'd abandoned him emotionally. I called her back. "Your son told a table of people we're casually dating," I said evenly. "I'm acting accordingly." Silence. "He has commitment issues," she finally said. "You know that." "I do," I replied, "but that doesn't make them my responsibility to subsidize." She hung up. Then Ethan's car actually broke down. Transmission. The estimate was $2,400. He called crying. "Claire, please. I can't afford this." I pulled up the spreadsheet. I'd been spending about $2,000 a month supporting us. "That's over," I said. "You're exaggerating." I wasn't. Phone bill, gas, dates, emergencies, 3 months of his car payments when he was unemployed. I read the numbers out loud. Silence. "That's what I do for someone I'm building a life with," I said. "Not someone I'm just dating." He hung up. And that's when I knew. This wasn't about love. It never had been. I didn't hear from Ethan for 2 days after that, which in retrospect should have worried me because when someone loses access to comfort before they lose entitlement, they don't usually sit with the discomfort. They look for a story that puts them back in control. By Thursday morning, I started getting messages. Not from him, from others. A coworker texted, "Hey, are you okay? I heard you and Ethan split. He's saying some rough stuff." Another came in from a mutual friend I barely spoke to anymore. "Did you really financially manipulate him?" That was the word he chose, manipulate. I didn't respond right away. I wanted to see how far he'd take it. Apparently very. By that afternoon, Ethan had convinced himself of a version of events where I was the villain, where my generosity wasn't voluntary but strategic, where I'd been holding money over him and withdrawing support to punish him for not proposing. I almost admired the mental gymnastics. Almost. Then he made his first real mistake. He reached out to my ex, not just any ex, the one person who knew exactly how I loved when I loved seriously. Daniel and I had did things 5 years earlier, amicably. No drama, no bitterness. He wasn't ready for marriage at the time, and unlike Ethan, he'd had the decency to say that privately and early. Daniel was married now. Twins, suburban life, holiday cards once a year. Ethan knew this. He still messaged him. I found out because Daniel called me laughing so hard he had to catch his breath. "Claire," he said, "I need you to hear this before I lose it." He forwarded the messages. Ethan had written, "Did Claire ever use money to control you? She paid for everything with me, and now she's holding it over my head." Daniel replied, "Control? Claire was generous because she thought you were building a future together. I left because I wasn't ready for that, and I felt guilty letting her give so much. You seem fine with it, though. Good luck." That was it. No insults, no defense, just truth. I posted nothing at first. I let the silence do some work. But when Ethan escalated, posting vague quotes about men escaping toxic women and tagging places we used to go, I responded once. One screenshot, Daniel's message. Caption, when your ex respects you more than your current fling, it stayed up for an hour. Long enough. Ethan lost it. He showed up at my office the next day. Security called my desk. There's a man here asking for you. Says he's your boyfriend. I smiled faintly. Tell him he's just someone I was dating. They didn't let him up. He waited by my car for nearly 2 hours. I walked out with my coworker Mark, who was mid-laugh over something on his phone. Ethan's face when he saw us, tight, furious, humiliated, was something I'll never forget. Who's that? He demanded. A coworker, I said. We're grabbing a drink. Casual. Mark caught on instantly. Super casual, he said cheerfully. Nothing serious. We left Ethan standing there. After that, he started showing up everywhere. My gym, a pub I watched games at, even my work happy hour, the same one he used to mock as boring office nonsense. At the gym, he wore workout clothes I'd bought him last Christmas, tried to use the machine next to mine. I switched machines, he followed. I left. At the pub, he arrived with 2 random women, laughing loudly. One spilled a drink accidentally on my table. The bartender banned them for 2 weeks. At the happy hour, he showed up overdressed, charming my coworkers with stories about our trips until one of them said, "Wait, I thought you two were just dating." He excused himself to the bathroom, didn't come back. And that's when the mirror cracked. By the time Ethan finally stopped showing up everywhere I existed, the damage had already been done. Not to me, to the illusion he'd been living in. The call came at 2:07 a.m. I didn't answer it, but I listened to the voicemail the next morning while my coffee brewed. His voice was broken in a way that sounded less like regret and more like fear. "Claire, I messed up. I see it now. Can we talk? Please? I'll do anything." I waited a full day before replying. Not to punish him. To see if his urgency survived the silence. It did. We met in a quiet cafe the following evening. Neutral ground, no memories attached. He looked smaller. Not physically, emotionally. The confidence that once made him charming now read as desperation. "I want us back," he said immediately. I was stupid. I let pressure get to me. I didn't mean what I said. That night. "I know," I said calmly. "You meant it then." He flinched. "I love you," he said quickly. I just panicked. I studied him for a moment, then I nodded. "Okay," I said. "Let's say we try again." His face lit up too fast. "But," I continued, "we start where you said we were." His smile faltered. "Casual," I said. "No financial support. You pay your way. Drive yourself. Handle your own emergencies. We date within your means for 6 months. If we're still solid after that, we can talk about being serious." The silence stretched. "That's not fair," he finally said. "There it is," I replied. "You make 3 times what I do," he argued. "I dated you through jobless periods. You know I can't afford the lifestyle we had." "Then we build a different one," I said. "Picnics, home-cooked meals, walks, actual time together." He shook his head slowly. "That's not the relationship I want. I felt something settle inside me. Not pain, clarity, and being a walking wallet isn't the relationship I want," I said. He left without finishing his coffee. 2 days later, his mother called mine. My mother listened patiently, then said very calmly, "Your son is a grown man. If he can't support himself without my daughter's money, that's not her failure." She hung up and called me immediately. "You dodged a missile," she said. "Don't you dare take him back." I didn't. The fallout was predictable. Ethan moved back in with his parents. His rebound relationship collapsed when the woman realized he was looking for funding, not partnership. He sent me a 4-page email listing everything he'd ever done for me. 2 dinners cooked, 1 holiday party attended, and a proposed repayment plan for his car repairs as a gesture of goodwill. I replied with 1 line. "New phone. Who this?" After that, I had him trespassed from my office. Security has his picture now. It's been a month since that dinner. I'm dating someone new. A man who pays for every other date without comment. Who drives himself. Who called roadside assistance when his battery died and brought me coffee the next morning just because. When he saw the old spreadsheet still open on my laptop, he whistled. $24,000 a year, he said. You were basically paying alimony to a boyfriend. Yeah, I said. Live and learn. He laughed. Well, I'll buy my own damn dinner. That's when I knew. Love doesn't ask you to shrink your expectations, it meets you where you stand. Ethan still texts from random numbers sometimes. The last one said, "You ruined my life." I didn't reply because I didn't ruin his life. I just stopped financing it. And when the money left, so did the illusion.